Hello, concrete people.
Hello, Spraylock Nation. Josh and Brent here, bringing you another Tailgate Talk video. What are we going to talk about today, Brent?
We got kind of a potluck today. We're going to talk about concrete in general, mostly, sort of an introductory video to the series, I guess, if you want to call it that. I had planned on talking a little bit about the difference between concrete and cement. I used to tell my classes when I was at the university, that's number one. If you ever want to get on my bad side, call cement concrete or concrete cement or vice versa and get them mixed up. So we're going to explain the difference briefly. You want to go for it?
You want to talk about versatility and variations of concrete and how wonderful it is and why we love it so much?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll look into that too. So first of all, I guess the difference between cement and concrete. A lot of people get those mixed up, and it's okay. The Beverly Hillbillies did us all a favor by introducing the idea of a cement pond during the introduction of their show. And a lot of people mix up the two. But in reality, cement is the gray powder. It's the glue that when mixed with water gets hard, gains strength, and holds all the rock and sand together to form concrete. Without the rock and sand, it's not concrete, it's just cement.
What about an example for people who don't really understand concrete, something that most people understand, like a loaf of bread?
Oh yeah. So my dad used to make that example all the time. He would explain that cement is to concrete much like flour is to bread. You wouldn't call a loaf of bread a loaf of flour, for instance. You'd call it a loaf of bread, just like you wouldn't call a concrete sidewalk a cement slab. It's a concrete sidewalk because yes, it has cement in it. But it's once water and rock and sand are added, it's concrete.
So let's talk about concrete and why we like it. I mean, we know we can mold it into any shape. We know it. We love the fact that it carries loads. That's one reason that structural engineers use it. Very durable. We know it's environmental friendly. But besides that, we know the versatility of concrete and even the variation. With all your steel components and everything else, you get what you order and what they make. But with concrete, let's be honest, from truck to truck, you can get a different mix, and you can get trucks going into job sites with different mixes.
Sure, yeah, you don't want them to if it's all supposed to be the same concrete going on the same slab, but there are variations in weighing and those kind of things that can make that concrete vary a little bit from truck to truck.
From my testing background, I do know that they would be pouring a floor slab.
Oh yeah.
And they'd also be pouring some exterior concrete, and that's going to be totally different concrete.
Absolutely.
Or even on a floor slab, you might be going from an interior to exterior, such as an elevated slab, so you got a patio, and it's going to be a different concrete.
Yeah.
So let's just use a 3,000 base mix.
Sure.
Roughly, in your estimate of what you have seen, about how many mixes for just 3,000 would you see?
Oh, wow. So that can vary a lot, but it really depends on the concrete company, their materials, and the uses that they have in their area. But for instance, when I was working in the concrete business, I think we had about 70 different 3,000 psi compressive strength mix designs in the computer at any given time. So you'd have a regular sized rock mix, you'd have a small rock mix, you'd have an air and train mix for exterior concrete, you have a non-air mix for interior. Even the footing mixes and the slab mixes would vary depending on what you were doing, because the footing mixes could take advantage of a different aggregate that maybe was a little less expensive or something because you didn't have to finish it. So pump mixes, even you got to make concrete pump, and some aggregates, some mix designs won't pump very well, so you have to make some changes. So yeah, 70 or so odd 3,000 psi mix designs. Any given time, there's probably in the neighborhood of 1,000 to 1,500 concrete mixes total in the concrete batch plant's computer ready to go. So if you had a 4,000 psi lightweight slab, for instance, then you could call up the concrete plant and get it delivered to your site.
The one thing we do love about concrete is, we can mold it in any shape, and if you only think that concrete is meant for square or rectangular forms, you got a lot to look into concrete and realize tilt-up panels are getting really cool with intricate shapes that before you wouldn't ever see. Concrete's coming a long way, and you're starting to see a lot more usage of it as far as in decorative portions of it. They've also got the durability of it. We still got concrete that's been standing for thousands of years.
Sure, yeah, the Romans are known for having great long-lasting concrete. Unfortunately, a lot of the concrete that we're making today doesn't last as long as we want it to. That's something that we can talk about in this series about concrete durability, and how concrete durability is an important consideration when you're specifying concrete or buying concrete for a particular construction operation. But it all boils down to concrete really is a simple material.
Yep.
It's a simple material. It's cement, water, sand, and rock. In the old days, I know you've mentioned it to me before, that in the old days, people would tell you if you're going to do backyard concrete and you've got some cement, bagged cement, you got some sand and rock. Tell me that again, Josh.
3, 2, and 1.
Okay.
3 shovels of rock, 2 shovels of sand, 1 shovel of cement. Add water to taste, depending on what you want to do with it. But even now, if you look at the mix designs coming through, they're still roughly sitting in that 3, 2, 1 separation.
Yeah, they really are.
They do vary depending on what you're trying to do with it and your add mixes, but for the most part, it still carries true.
Yeah, so beyond that, there are special concrete mix designs that we'll get into in the series. High strength concrete, roller compacted concrete, pervious concrete maybe. We'll get a chance to look at the differences between those concrete mixes, and we'll get into that a little deeper. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That 3-2-1 idea that's been around forever pretty much holds true, and everything else is just sort of fine-tuning and tweaking for the concrete's end use. Yep.
Well, Concrete Nation, Spray Lock Nation, we'll come back with other videos. Stay tuned, subscribe, and like us. Thank you.